Welcome to Nakti by j.N.S. And today we're going to continue with the Black Man series. And this video is titled, What Did the Black Woman Encode in the Black Man's DNA? And the answer is architecture. So the scope of this video is going to cover all of Africa's architecture from the last 30,000 years. And a lot of this architecture is not well known, is underplayed and undervalued because of the narrative that's propagated that the Africans have never built anything worth mentioning, when that is obviously a false narrative. We don't have like this grandiose knowledge on African architecture. Maybe some of us do, but it's certainly not taught in the school systems. It's not taught in general engineering. I went to an engineering high school actually, and we were never taught architecture from Africa, because one of the majors that was taught at my high school was architecture engineering. So we learned various architectures. We all had to take a class on it, even if that wasn't our major. And we did not cover no African architecture. So we're doing this series because the black woman created the black man to build. And the things that I'm going to show you are so amazing. And this is what the black man used to do with no problem before he went astray and overthrew the Queen Mothership and our decline and descent into subjugation for the last 1,000 years. This is what he knows. This is what he's capable of. So when I show you these architectures, this is just done so that you can activate your cell memory consciousness and realize that this is what your ancestors have done and built, your forefathers, and this is what you are certainly capable of doing now, even more so, because of the knowledge that they have given us and the knowledge that is embedded within your DNA and epigenetics that has been buried under the complete brainwashing programming that has been done to the African worldwide to make them feel afraid to build because they think if they build it, it's going to get torn down or sabotaged. Or some of us in our subconscious mind, whether we admit it or not, literally think we don't know how to build, or we can't get together and actually get a project done, a building done, because all we're going to do is fight and da-da-da. And some of you niggas will do that. But a lot of us, we're tired, and a lot of us want to do our ancestors' bidding. We want to be the humans that we were meant to be on this earth, which were builders, the architects, the great architect. That is what the black man is. He has built whole secret societies around architecture in the past, 5,000 years ago, and had that information stolen. Well, he gave the information away freely, and then the people who he gave it to used it against him and buried it and essentially stole it, in a sense that they hide that same information of the great architect from black people, generally speaking. Unless you acquiesce to their ways, then you may be able to come into that knowledge, which is absurd because the black man is the one who created it, obviously. And even when he made this great architect society, it was off the backdrop of honoring the goddess. So a lot of our information is hidden. I know that was a tangent, and I did speak in code a lot, so it's like, okay, what are you talking about? But those who understand, they will certainly get what I meant when I had just said that. But just know that this video doesn't mean any harm, and that we're doing this series as a reminder of our history and a way to get the few black men who are ready to receive enlightenment and ready to get back to his true nature. We want to get those young boys to understand their true nature. And we know that many will ignore the divine judgment and continue on their path of self-hatred, of self-destruction, of hatred of the black woman. There's some that is too far gone. The brainwashing is too deep, and they are beyond delusional about what it means to be broken. And they are so delusional as to what it means to just completely have no reckonance of African pedagogy within their brains. It's just it's just a waste of time. So this video is not for those type of people. It's for those who are ready to receive these teachings and embrace all of the teachings in the Dark Goddess, and you'll receive your boon on earth and in heaven. So remember, we already did part 1, which was who created the black man, and then we did part 2, why was the black man created, and then we did part 3, what did the black woman encode in the black man? Civilization. And in that video we covered all of the civilizations in Africa. I'm pretty sure we didn't get all of them, but to make the video as concise as possible and within the time allotted, for many of us can only give our attention for like an hour or two. We just covered what we can in that allotted time. So now we're going to do the architecture from the black woman's mitochondrial DNA with the help of intergalactic means. This is what she has encoded in him. And again, I'm repeating this stuff because repetition reprograms the subconscious mind. So a lot of the things, it sounds like, oh, I heard this before. You're on the right video. It's just that I will repeat certain information over and over again in every video so that it can start to program that mind and that you can get used to that learning process. So it becomes second nature. So remember, to accurately follow these teachings, you should have watched all 6 videos to the Queen Mothership series with a very open mind. And then you should have read the Nakti Queen Mothership book, which is subtitled Reinstatement of Ancient African Philosophy for Healing and Restoration, because that is the information that the black man needs to understand what happened, why we got in this situation, what exactly was his male actions, what were the male actions of the black woman, what did he do to get in the situation, because it has a lot more to do with it than what the world thinks. And it's not to shame him or to blame him. It's just to get to see our actions that we did wrong so that we can acknowledge it, heal from it, forgive ourselves. We must forgive ourselves for the things we have done in the past. And we must say, we're going to be healed. We must be committed to that healing and restoration. Then, once you get the history of what happened to our situation and the history of what was going on before slavery and colonialization, you get that history, and then the Nakti Queen Mothership book tells you what things need to be done from the point of view of the black woman in order to help the future generations of her progeny, which obviously will involve black men, because those sons that she has is going to grow up to be black men. Also, if the black man is wise, when he reads the Nakti Queen Mothership, he realized that the book is in his best interest by means of helping the black woman get her mind right and get her consciousness elevated. Then there's 20 tenets that is geared towards both genders, black men and black women, telling them, or suggesting to them rather, what they need to do in the 20th century, right now in 2020 and beyond, to elevate our culture and elevate our coming civilization, and to honor ourselves, to heal further, and to enact and embrace self-love. So those 20 tenets is there just so that you can understand where we're going, and you can understand my thought process, and then you can realize that even though I am very much the goddess identified, I'm very much black woman identified, everything that I say and do will help this entire race. Now, it starts with the woman, because she is the teacher of all children, and the black woman is the creator of all human beings, and she has the mitochondrial DNA and Eve gene. She is God. So that is where my thought process is stemming from. So if that offends you, then you just click off the video, because that is the lens through which I see the world. And obviously I would have a high opinion of her progeny to an extent, because her progeny has certainly went astray. So what I do is try to elevate her, or elevate my consciousness, and try to teach others how to do that. And then then enact a trickle-down effect to her progeny, which means that which comes out of her bloodline and comes out of her body, which is obviously other black girls and black boys who will grow up to be black men and black women. And we got to break those cycles of dysfunction and destructions, low self-esteem, self-hatred. You have to break it on a cellular level. You have to break it as soon as they come out the womb. And you have to think long-term in terms of, we may not see results in our lifetime, but 1 or 2 generations, we can see those results if we enact the tenets, enact knowledge of self and history of self, and be honest with ourselves about how we got in a situation and make sure we never do it again. And that is just the thought process of behind all of this. And the Black Man series is obviously for those future generation of boys. Now, obviously, as a black man, you can listen to this and you will learn knowledge. You will learn things that are very powerful. But I do understand that there's a lot of damage that has been done, and a lot of you feel you cannot learn from a woman. A lot of you feel, oh, who is she to tell our story titled The Black Man, and da-da-da-da-da. What does she know about the black man? I know a lot. I know probably more than you do. Because the black woman gives birth to the black man, and she did create him, whether y'all want to admit that or not. Whether y'all want to usurp her power, take her power, deny her power, like you've been doing for the last 1,000 years, and it's gotten you on your ass. It has gotten you completely messed up. So you might as well go back to your true nature, black man, which is a balanced, Shiva, equanimous human being who is very cerebral, who likes to think, who likes to use his curiosity to build art and to build architecture and to build things with his hands. And he likes to get his advice and wisdom from his mommy, which is what all kingdoms did in pre-colonial Africa. They got their advice from their queen mothers until they wanted to copy the systems that they saw other civilizations doing when they decided to trade with them and realized that they could, where they thought they could make more money that way, and thought they would be able to get more access to global trade and complete domination that way if they cut off ties to the queen mother. So now that we're at this point, again, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, go watch those videos and go get that book. The book is not even that expensive, like what, $3.99 on Kindle or some shit, $3.99. And you know, so go get that information first down pat and embrace that information. Commit yourself to healing and commit yourself to restoring your true nature. Okay? So now that we got all of that out the way, let's start. So throughout the history of Africa, Africans have developed their own local architectural traditions. In some cases, broader regional styles can be identified. So for instance, the Sudano-Sahelian architecture of West Africa has a certain look, and that would be different from, say, like the architecture in South Africa and so on. So a common theme in traditional African architecture is the use of fractal scaling, which is the small parts of the structure tend to look similar to the larger parts, such as a circular village made out of circular houses. So African architecture uses a wide range of materials, including thatch, stick, wood, mud brick, rammed earth, stone, iron, gold, and limestone. And I'm pretty sure there's more, but this is all of what I could find so far. So the start of architecture in Africa started with the use of iron tools to clear forests and to reap the harvest. So this ability to develop iron led to the agricultural boom in Africa, and it occurred very quickly. And the iron tools helped a lot in the manufacturing of ivory goods and digging out gold reserves. So in Africa, unlike Europe and Asia, the Iron Age is not prefaced by the Bronze or Copper Age, but rather the Africans went from stone straight to iron. So they skipped 2 stages. So when we talk about architecture, we must talk about the Iron Age in Africa, which was traditionally marked as occurring between 200 BC to 1000 CE, but we have found iron all the way in 200, made in 200 BC. So let's talk about the Iron Age. The African Iron Age people used a bloomery process to smelt iron. So they built a cylindrical clay furnace and used charcoal and a hand-operated bellows to reach the level of heating for smelting. And bloomery is a batch process in which the air blast must be stopped periodically to remove solid mass or masses of metal called blooms. So this is what you've been doing in 200 BC. So your ass know how to, if you know how to smelt iron and was the first to do it, just y'all came with this process on your own. This is what our ancestors were doing. So you know how to do it today if you did it back then. So now we're actually going to talk about some of the architectures, some of the first architectures that we can find. Now I did, for a lot of these groups, I did cover their civilization in part 3. So if you want to go and take a look and learn more about the actual civilizations themselves, then you can of course watch part 3. So let's start. So we're going to talk about Nok culture artifacts. And this was located on Jos Plateau in Nigeria between the Niger River and Benue River. And these are the first people to smelt iron. And they're known for their highly advanced smelted iron heads that literally cannot be replicated to this day. This was a very highly advanced process. No one even knows how they damn sculpted this stuff. And a lot of people, when they found these heads in 1928, they were saying, oh, we found the city of Atlantis. The city of Atlantis. They didn't want to admit that those were West Africans or Sub-Saharan Africans that actually built that stuff. Like, so they were saying that the Atlantis aliens had built these heads and left them in the ground in Africa, totally ignoring that there were just Africans that had built it, particularly ancient Nigerians. They're Nigerians now, but back then they were called Nok, so they were not, Nigeria didn't exist back then, obviously. But these are their ancestors that built this stuff, for the most part, because those ancestors traveled all around. So they're probably quite a bit, not just Nigeria area, but all over the Benin, Togo, Ghana. It's very close to Nigeria. Probably that whole area, because Africans were nomadic people back then. I could imagine in 200 BC, so they probably were all over the place, But they settled for some time in that area. And the Nok people, they settled in Samun Dikia, and they built on hilltops and mountain peaks. And Nok settlements have not been extensively excavated to this day. So people are still finding heads, these iron heads and these iron tools that they were making. You can still find them. A lot of Europeans actually go over there, act like they're tourists, and go and be digging in the ground illegally without permission. And they be finding shit, and they bring it back and they sell it to the museums, no problem. Some have been arrested. But one, I think, as late as 2013, he tried to walk off with he found 4 of them heads or something like that, and they had to arrest his ass when he got to France. So, because these heads are going for at least 1 million, 2 million, 3 million bucks, in Europe. So that's how deep this obsession goes. And this is how deep people go to actually hide the advanced architecture of the African. They're going and sneaking and stealing this stuff and getting millions of dollars without nobody really knowing. That's been going on since 1928. So as we're looking at these heads, and I'm showing you these heads, admire what many of our ancestors had the ability to do in such early ages, okay? Before anybody else was doing these things. It doesn't exist. So this is encoded in your DNA because 60% of the African American has the EM2 DNA from that region, which means that's the haplogroup they belong to. And then the rest, some come from have a Senegalese haplogroup and Congolese, but the haplogroup comes from this particular area. So Africans themselves, and even those in the diaspora, of course the Haitians have an EM2 haplogroup, many of them do, and the African American and the Jamaicans, this is what you need to understand, that this is a part of all of our history, whether you want to admit it or not. Just because you was stolen 500 years ago does not mean that the haplogroup or the DNA changes. Some of it has been altered, but for the most part, you're still 80, 90, even up to 92% African now. So these are our ancestors, and we should be very proud to know that they have done these type of things in Africa. So let's move on to ancient architecture that was built in 7500 BC. And that is so long ago, as you can imagine. And that was built by the Nubian people. And this was called Nabta Playa, which was once a large internally drained basin in the Nubian desert. And it was located approximately 800 kilometers south of modern day Cairo. And it is close to west of the Abu Simbel in southern Egypt, which was Abu Simbel was built by the Kushites. So during the Napatan phase of Nubian history, which eventually gave birth to the kingdom of Kush, we see the building of numerous pyramids and temples. And if anybody wants to know what the people of Kush looked like, they were extremely black. These were, you know how the Sudanese, those are modern day Sudanese. So that's the skin color of the Sudan people. And some of those Kushites, they had an EM2 haplogroup too, so they came from the Horn of Africa as well. Some of them were nomadic because the Kush kingdom lasted very long. So they built many temples and many buildings. And there are 13 temples and 2 palaces which have been excavated in Napata, and some that has not been excavated at all. So Sudan contains 223 Kush pyramids to this day in Sudan, if you go. And more numerous but smaller than the Egyptian pyramids. And they were like skinny, like they weren't as wide. You know, the Egyptian pyramids tend to be wide. And the Kushites, they built it a little bit skinnier. And when they did conquer Egypt, when they did conquer Thebes, they were able to build it wide as well. But when they kind of separated for some time, they just was building their stuff a little bit different. So the major sites of this architecture is El Kuru, Nuri, and Miro. So as we're looking at these architectures from the Kush Empire, and let's admire what they have done. Understanding that this is what we can do to this day when you put your mind to it, because you can do anything that you put your mind to. So this is what this video is existing for, to activate the cell memory consciousness of the African. So now let's move on to another architecture in the Horn of Africa called the Ascomite architecture, which flourished in the Ethiopian regions and attested by the numerous Ascomite influences in and around the medieval churches of Lalibela, where stelae or howits were carved out of single blocks of rock. And they used to, the Ascomite people, they gave birth to the rise of a lot of those churches and castles. So they also did a lot of palaces. They did a lot of houses and monasteries. And they used to build using alternating layers of stone and wood. So let's take a look at this, the Fasilides Palace at Ethiopia. This was built by the descendants of the Ascomite Empire. And let's look at this stele and understand that this is something that we can do today. Again, I'm going to keep repeating that. We can do these things. We can do whatever we put our mind to. I'm going to keep saying that to reprogram your subconscious mind as we are learning this information. So now let's go to West Africa. Now, the oldest architecture that we have found, besides the smelted iron heads, because those were more like sculptures, but still have elements of it's still architecture. It's just a sculpt, but it's still under that rim. But as far as settlements, architectural settlements, the oldest that was found is the Tichit Walata, and that is spelled Tichitwalata. And that is the oldest surviving collection of settlements in West Africa, and the oldest of all stone-based settlement south of the Sahara. So it was built by the Soninke people, and that is what actually led to the empire of Ghana. Those same people, they were the ancestors to the people that built the Ghana Empire and the Mali Empire. And the Soninke people are the ancestors that were the precursor to the Ghana Empire. So it was settled by these people in around 2000 BC, which makes it 1,000 years older than what was previously thought. So when you go to the settlement, you'll find laid out streets, fortified compounds, all made of skilled stone masonry. In all, there were about 500 of these settlements. So as we're looking at these pictures, once again, know that this is what your ancestors have done. A lot of you came from Ghana. Those are ancestors that have built whole settlements. So look at these and understand that this is where you came from. And then you say, oh, that looks so primitive. It was, what did I just say? It was how long ago? 2000 BC? Do you know how long ago that is? I'm not 2000 AD or year 2000 BC. Do you know how old that is? So it's not going to look like what big ass skyscraper today, but this is extremely advanced. You know, other people was living in caves and other people didn't have nothing going on. They definitely didn't have iron. So to see stuff like this in 2000 BC, to be honest, those ancestors are way more advanced than what we doing now. They looking at us like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Because they were building a whole settlements, as you can see, building whole streets and compounds. So, and irrigation systems. So they were doing all of that in 2000 BC. That was what? When did the Egyptian Empire start? 3000 BC or some shit like that? I mean, this stuff was so long ago. So, you know, you should be proud. You should be even more proud and somewhat a little, you know, like we ain't pretty much living up to our full potential. That's something we gotta assess there. But if we keep running from it and being in denial that we not living up to our full potential, it perpetuates more madness instead of honoring our ancestors, knowing where we come from, getting knowledge of self, and realizing that what they did, we can certainly do, and even more so. We have to believe. We have to believe with all of our heart and soul. That's all it takes, and be willing to trust one another and be able to know that we can build together, and we ought to. It's the only way out, and you're going to be forced to, whether I'm here or not, whether you listen to me or not. It's coming. Y'all better get ready. It's coming. You will be forced to build. So your ass better be jumping on YouTube, learning how to start with an A-frame shelter and then get more to more advanced levels, because it's coming. You're not going to be able to just live to be doing what you're doing now. So let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the Gabaro Mosque. Okay, and this was completed during the reign of Muhammadu Karu, an African that was born in around 1398. And this was the first Muslim king of Katsina. So it was originally built as the central mosque of Katsina town, and it was also used as a school. Later they used it as a school. Because you got to figure, a lot of those African men, they were converting to Islam, you know. So they were building these mosques and stuff. They started getting into that. So now let's move on to architecture that is primarily in Somalia. So they also have a rich and diverse tradition of designing and engineering different types of construction. They did castles, citadels, fortresses, mosques, temples, and aqueducts, lighthouses, towers, and tombs. And this was during the ancient periods. This was around the medieval times as well. And it also encompasses the fusion of Somalo Islamic architecture. So look at these ruins of the dry Sultanate of Adal in Sela, Somalia. So this is pretty cool. So in ancient Somalia, pyramidical structures known in Somalia as talo were a popular burial style, with hundreds of these dry stone monuments scattered around the country today. So this is the architecture that they built. They like to do lots of castles and fortresses. So that's pretty cool stuff. So now let's talk about Kiwakasini, which is a community on an Indian Ocean island off the southern coast of present-day Tanzania in eastern Africa. So historically, it was the center of Kiwa Sultanate, a medieval sultanate whose authority was at its height around the 13th through 15th centuries, and it stretched the entire length of the Swahili coast. So it was occupied from at least the 8th century CE and became one of the most powerful settlements along the coast. And the seasonal wind reversals would affect trade circulations. So at first, most of the popular focus was on the archaeology of Kiwa's ports and harbors. However, people are now focusing on the hinterlands and the Sumeric artifacts that are plentiful and can be divided into two groups, which is like a mosque and a palace nearby, which is called the Palace of Hosni Kubwa. So again, this is the architecture that has been built, and this is the architecture that you certainly know how to do within your cell memory consciousness, without any excuses, without any interference. Now, there's a lot of interference in our ability to be our true self, but anyone can overcome that, and that interference is literally being shattered before our very eyes. You have to see the opportunity and the portals opening before your eyes right now. You have to see it, because if you don't, and you follow what everybody else is doing, everybody else scared and panicking, everybody else worried about this virus, worried about the economy, worried about the wildfires and the floods and the earthquake, everybody all scared because they seeing their way of life crumble, instead of seeing it as a new beginning and as a way of rebirth, and for the earth to cleanse itself, and for this earth to send a message, and for the gods to send a message to let us know, y'all gotta quit y'all shit. Y'all gotta stop y'all fuck shit. It's divine judgment, and everybody's culture is under a magnifying glass to be judged and to be wiped out if it is not conducive to this human race and to planet Earth. So instead of acknowledging that, y'all want to sit up there and act like how these other groups are acting, panicking, and when you don't see a big ass portal opening for your reawakening, for your rebirth. And that's what it's frustrating, and that's why I made these videos and I made this Black Man series, because y'all cannot continue to do what you see other people doing, and what is not in your nature. You can't continue to keep doing what is against your nature. So you need to be in line with planet Earth and in line with the universe, which is the laws that exist on planet Earth and the laws of the universe. That's all you need to be focused on right now, which embodies true nature of the African. And if you follow nature and become in tune with nature, you can't go astray. You can't be soft, but you certainly won't be going astray. So understanding this architecture is the precursor to getting to understand yourself again. Just like understanding the civilization video, understanding who created the Black Man video, and the law of gender video, as well as why was he created. Understanding all of that information is the precursor to activating the true soul blueprint of the Black Man, so that he can see in 2020 these portals that are literally opening, saying, hey, who want to take the mantle, who want to build, who want to become in tune with nature, and who wants that anointing, who wants to be the chosen ones. Because a lot of us are losing our anointing, our God-given anointing, because we're pushing God away, and we're pushing our birthright away, because we're scared that people are going to attack us, or we are scared that other people are not going to like us. They're going to get jealous and you ain't living in your true nature, and they already still messing with you, already still jealous. So it don't matter. You might as well live up to your full potential and go out riding. Whatever happens, happens. But you do the best that you can do to build your civilization, your communities, and your kingdoms, wherever it's at on the planet Earth, wherever it's at. Do the best that you can do to be for yourself and to be for your community, and to see your people thriving. Love on yourself and trust yourself and forgive yourself, because that's the thing. The Black man has not forgiven himself. He has not. The Black woman hasn't either, but that's stories for another day. This video is titled The Black Man Series. The Black man has not forgiven himself for getting his people enslaved, diluting his bloodline, putting other groups of women over his own. That's been going on for quite a long time. That actually is written about in the Bible. Doing all types of fuck shit, overthrowing the Queen Mothership, because he knows, trading his own people to the Europeans. The Black man has not forgiven himself for that, and for letting himself stay enslaved for so long, and letting these foreigners take control of their women, breed with their women, all types of stuff. You have to forgive yourself, but you can't let it happen again. And you cannot excuse it and deny it and make up an alternative reality and say, well, they had so much more weapons than us. They had all this stuff that we couldn't fight back. We didn't. Don't give no excuses for it, because the history says otherwise. When I was showing y'all all those civilizations, what was the common theme? And all those empires, way before the European even came into existence in Africa, What was the common thing in it? The common theme in the Ghana Empire, which started in 300 CE, and the Mali Empire, which started in what, 400 CE, way before slavery. What were they still selling? Were they not selling slaves? And these were black people. Ain't no Muslim, like, because I've been getting in arguments with people. Y'all try to tell me that was the Arabs. Ghana, well, no Arabs in Ghana in 300 CE. The fuck out of here. Those were our own people selling our own people out. That's a fact. It was happening in 700 CE. It just kept happening. So we already had it. It wasn't based on race. It wasn't based on chattel. We wasn't doing the harsh ass crazy stuff that the Europeans started doing, because that was just based off of envy, insecurity, and really taking it to a whole nother level. But by the time they did come into the picture, they was like, okay, they wanted to get on the trade too, and there was money to be made. So we weren't thinking like, oh, if we do this, we can literally subjugate our people for 1,000 years. But it happened. It backfired. Everything we was doing backfired. Getting rid of the Queen Mothership backfired. So instead of embracing that truth and saying, this is what we have done, our forefathers have done this, and we denounce those actions, and we're not going to ever do those actions again. Those actions were not right. It contributed to our downfall, and we're not ever going to do that again. And we're going to honor the ones who did try to fight, and honor the ones who was against that. That's all you got to do. And then you got to be committed to healing. So me bringing this up is not for y'all to feel shame, because people get in arguments with me and try to ask me to actually lie and say, why can't you just say that the European just came in and did it? Why you gotta really dig all into the history? The history is the history. Are you kidding me? This is the truth shall set you free. I will never ever lie about it. The truth will absolutely set us free. And understanding our own power. Because if we got into this situation, then we can get ourselves out of it. But if you keep on blaming another, which they had a part into it, and their judgment you don't understand, their judgment is completely different than ours. Of course they had a part in it. Of course they're getting divine judgment. Of course it's going to be a lot worse than ours. But yours is not going to be that much different if you can't embrace yourself, embrace your healing, and be an African, and love yourself. Because those who have self-hatred and cannot forgive themselves, God cannot recognize the difference between a self-hater and the people who have done you wrong. You can't really see the difference, because y'all act the same. Y'all think the same. They hate your people and you hate your own people. So how are y'all any different? So you think when divine judgment is here, you think you're going to be let off the hook just because you black? But your mind is not black at all. Your mind is not an African. Your mind is brainwashed, and that of the dominant society. And you think that the universe and the gods can tell the difference between the heart and the soul? Because mind you, the gods is looking at the heart and the soul. So all of a sudden they know the difference from a self-hating ass black person that sell each other out, and that's always jealous of the next black person and got a mind of a Negro peon. You think that you're not about to get no divine judgment because you weren't the one that perpetuated the oppression. And that is insane. I'm telling you, that's not how it's going to work. I'm telling you from the mouth of God what was told to me. Tell your people to get back in tune with nature. Tell your people to get back in tune with the laws of the universe, and to honor their gods, and to honor and have knowledge of self, and start to forgive themselves and heal, because divine judgment is coming. If they can't get it together, I got to smite them out too. I'm telling you what as a prophet, what the hell's about to happen. So y'all have to listen to me to some extent. Even some things not going to resonate with you, okay. But when I'm telling you, if y'all don't get this shit right, I'm not concerned with no other group of people, or convincing them to accept me, or convincing them to approve or validate me. I don't give a shit about them. So you never ever hear me talk about other people. I put it all back on the African and his power, and getting his power back, and getting his knowledge of self back, and his healing, his restoration, and hers, obviously. That's all that I be talking about. So y'all get upset at me because I'm not trying to force y'all to externalize your power and start trying to get you in a low ass vibration of consciousness to be focusing on a whole nother group of people who have historically shown you that ever since they came into contact with you, that they will never accept you, that they will never be fair with you and want equality, because they won't be able to compete that way. it should be obvious why they have done everything they have done. It should be obvious. You should have studied their science. You should have studied their genetic makeup and their biology and their history. Just like how you got history and I can break down your history, if I wanted to, I can break down the history of our oppressors. I can break down the science of them, just like I can break down the science of you. I've studied both. That's why I realized it's no point in me even focusing on them. That's just no point. Wasting time. Everybody got their nature. What's in their nature is in their nature. You can't change it. You can't change people. And you definitely can't change someone who has made up their mind that you're a threat. When in your personal life have you been able to convince someone to not, who already saw you as a threat, who was already jealous of you? How would you able to convince them to not be? How? You can't. They'll take you out. Sabotage you, get you fired from your job, do all types of stuff behind your back, be gossiping about you. I'm talking about in your personal life. So how could you do it with a whole group of people that feel that way about you? If you can't do it to an individual, and what did you do with that individual who felt you was a threat? Then you ignore them? Then you get out their way? Then you got back at them first, but you didn't fuck with them, did you? So why is y'all trying to force a whole group of people to be all in your face and to accept you and all this craziness? Y'all out of your mind, and the universe know y'all out of your mind. The gods are not impressed. The ancestors don't believe none of your story anymore. They want the truth out. They want the truth, and they want healing. They don't care that the truth is ugly and it hurts. You think it ain't hurt? It hurt them too. Just like it hurt me to tell y'all this stuff. But these days, they don't care. Because they know once you get that truth out, you get more truth out. Just like I told you about the overthrow of the Queen Mothership and about the slave trade and how what the black man was doing back then. Did I not tell y'all what the black man was doing in civilization before that? Did I not give y'all all the information of the architecture? And we still got more to cover. I know I don't run on a rant, but we still got more to cover. Didn't I tell you who created you? And with the law of gender, didn't I give you ancient African teachings of the gods? So you can understand the law of gender? Didn't I just tell y'all all the shit y'all was building? And all these damn castles and damn pyramids and iron heads and shit? So I gave you more truth. I didn't just give you the bad. I gave you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So now that you know that truth, don't be getting mad. Accept it all, because that's how you're going to get free. I promise you. Because now you can see, oh shit, how could a great ass powerful people build all this motherfucking shit? And we got more. I'm going to show y'all more. How could they do all this powerful stuff? We got 200 BC, 1000 BC and shit. West Africa, North Africa, East Africa, South Africa. Doing all this shit. All these empires. 300 BC, 400 BC, 700 BC, 3000 BC. All these fucking empires. Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Bornu, Kane, all this stuff. All of a sudden, y'all just get enslaved when y'all were the first to start civilization. How does that make sense? Unless you did something wrong. Unless you had something to do with it. None of it makes sense. That's why I keep trying to show y'all. Y'all weren't just living in they try to tell y'all that they caught y'all living in a little tiny mud hut, powerless, no military, no civilization, nothing, just in a mud hut, and y'all just had all these resources that your asses didn't know about. How if Mansa Musa excavated all that damn gold? How? Do you know that there was toys in Eswatini that was made out of fucking gold? Like tiny little toy elephants that the black kids were playing with that were made of gold. That's how much gold there was. You could make a toys out of it and give it to the kids. It wasn't a big deal to them. Because it was so much. Who cared? Just like they were making carnelian, ruby, little rings and beads and putting it on the kids. It was no big deal. It was so much. So all of a sudden, and I'm showing y'all these architecture. I'm showing y'all these big ass castles and these big ass villages that started 300, 100 CE and shit, 200 CE. I'm sorry, BC. Not CE, BC. And y'all really think that these people was able to come and infiltrate and just take over like that? No. They didn't go down that way. I'm sorry to say. I know y'all want to believe that to make y'all ego feel better instead of admitting that y'all had something to do with it. and that's the good thing in admitting it, because that means you were more powerful. That you made one mistake. That's all it means. That you made one dumbass mistake, and that you gotta forgive yourself. That's it. You made a mistake, a big one. That literally for 1,000 years we've been paying for it. So that just means don't do it again. That's all it damn mean. So y'all love to come at me like I'm trying to get y'all to feel shame and stuff. If you feel shame, feel it for a little while, then start forgiving yourself and forgiving our ancestors. Because even though you ain't had nothing to do with it, y'all know that y'all not living up to y'all potential. That's why I get mad at me when I'm showing y'all all these kingdoms and all these civilizations and all this stuff. Because now y'all realize, oh shit, we really even fell off as a people. How did you fall off as a people? Oh, somebody just come. Here's a big ass castle that y'all done built, doing trade for thousands of years, and all of a sudden, these Europeans get on a boat, which the Moors taught them how to build the boats and sell them, which are black people, taught them how to do it. They get their ass over here. Oh, we just gonna take these people. Yep, we're gonna take them. Hell no, it didn't work that way. When the African had already been trading with the Chinese, way before that, in Asia, all of Asia. So none of what you're saying makes sense, because we already have a history of you getting in damn boats, trading all over the damn world. But you were in a period of isolation by the time when the European came. Y'all were in a period of isolation. So far, y'all didn't really go and travel because you had already been everywhere. And you did start, building boats for other groups and trading those boats and stuff, and trading maps, all types of stuff. So all I'm saying is, stop underestimating your power. Stop acting like you don't know how to build. Stop being afraid to be yourself. Stop being afraid to reactivate your soul and do this soul retrieval and get it healing. Like, this is so important. I got some information that's coming out that's really about to help heal the soul blueprint. So I done went on this tangent, but we got some more architectures to look at. So right now I'm gonna just say the names. And I'm gonna flash through the pictures, and let's just admire these architectures, and let's be like, wow, these are things. Everything that I'm about to show you was built by a black person. I know Arab, I know a white person, I know a black person. I've researched it. This stuff, even I'm gonna show you some modern day stuff too, that was built by Nigerian architects and Kenyan architects and stuff, and even some in South Africa. So some are building. And we're going to shed a light on what is being built today, and this is what you need to know worldwide. You really do. So let's continue. So as you can see here, we got the Great Mosque of Djinni. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But look at this great mosque that was built by the African. We can also see right here, this is the African Heritage House in Kenya that was built by a Kenyan architect. This is pretty advanced. I don't know what year this was built, but I mean, it looks pretty cool. Now we have the Casa Apolebres in Guinea. This was built some time ago. This looks pretty cool. Then we have the Clay Palace of Gardidia in Algeria. And now we have these beehive houses of the Milwani Wildlife Sanctuary in Eswatini. So this was common. These beehive houses, that's just what we love to build for thousands and thousands of years, and they're still building them to this day. Here we see the Great Mosque of Touba in Senegal. So this is inspired by Islamic architecture, but this was, most of Senegal, they converted to Islam over the years, over the centuries. And here we see the Eastgate building in Zimbabwe. This was built by a Nigerian architect. So here's another architecture in Mauritania. Here is the Stone Tower of Chinguetti in Mauritania as well. Here is the Leptis Magna in Libya. Here is the painted Gurunusi houses of Tebel in Burkina Faso. Here is the Nabimbam Tower in the Republic of the Congo. That is a beautiful architecture to me. I really like that. Here is the Swahili town in Dabar. Here is a Nigerian mosque. Here is the Tekienta Tower, House of Kuta. It's a very old one. Here's a more recent one, the Morocotolo in the Thesto. Again, I know I'm pronouncing this stuff wrong, but that's not the point. And lastly, we have the Monument of Reunification in Cameroon. So again, we went through all these architectures. I just wanted to show you a bit more and try to wrap it up quickly because I know I went on a tangent. So as you can see, architecture is encoded within the DNA. It is encoded within the cell memory consciousness. It is not something you can run away from. And just like I said, the black man has encoded architecture in his DNA. Obviously, black women, as you're watching this means that it comes from you because you gave birth to them. So obviously you know how to do these things as well. And I'm not saying that you cannot be an architect, as a woman. That sounds crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But what we're saying is they have this ability. And a lot of the architecture they did build because the women were doing other stuff. They were doing lots of cooking and cleaning. It's not that they couldn't do it. It just, obviously, it's a lot of hard work. Like, who wants to lift those big ass stones and chisel away and stuff? So the women, they were having the men do their bidding. You build it. And the women do other things. Like the light work stuff, getting water and farming and doing the agriculture. But she can certainly come up with schematics and different like diagrams to build architects, and that has happened especially in Kush. So it's definitely history of women being involved in these things, but we know that the heavy lifting came from these men that were putting these stones together because they're just common sense. So we want the African to know today that this is what he is capable of doing, and that there should be no excuses as to why he's not doing these same things. And another thing, you heard me talking about our history and why it's so important to understand the truth, and this is a part of the truth as well. So all of these pictures that I showed you, this is a part of the truth as well. This is the good part of it. This was before slavery. This was pre-colonial Africa. Okay, this was before contact with the Arabs, the Indians, the Chinese. This was in contact before anybody. This was made before any groups of people visited us. So that's something that we must understand. It's something that we must know about, because I can't stress it enough. It's encoded within your cell memory consciousness. So now that we have completed part 4, which is what did the black woman encode in the black man, architecture. Now you have a better understanding of where I'm going with this series. This series is predicated off of understanding who gave birth to the black man, why was he created, who created him, what is the laws that the gods gave us, which is the law of gender. What did she encode in him? The ability to do civilization and the ability to do architecture. Now part 5 is going to be another one. Now I think part 5 will do probably spirituality or mathematics. I have to do the research for these things. This is very tedious and very time consuming, but it's worth it because it's fun, and then we need this history to be out there for the future generations. Those who believe in the Queen Mothership know that the first teachers of children are the women, and that the woman needs a copious amount of intelligence. She is very intelligent, but she needs copious amounts of intellect and knowledge and wisdom to be able to get her children to do her bidding. She can't be lost, and she can't say, oh, the black man's got to lead, the black man's going to do everything, and he's going to fix, and then she just not taking any accountability for nothing. That's not how Africa ever worked. That's not, you can't find one civilization that ever did it. There were, even the patrilineal ones still had queen mothers, even the ones where the men were more dominant. But before contact with Arabs in the 10th century, everything was queen mother. There were obviously kings and chiefs as well. But as far as the black woman, she's in charge of establishing culture. She's in charge of establishing values. Only her. Now she has let the black man do that. Establish culture and values. And look what he's done. Look at hip hop. Look at what he's done. Sellout culture. So until she says, I'm taking the reins back on this shit. Y'all not about to keep desecrating my image. Y'all not about to do. It's so many things that we as women can do to end all this shit. And she has to say, this is my progeny. No one's going to desecrate my image. No one's going to defame me. You will build. You will do my bidding. You will have culture. You will have very strong values of our ancestors, and ones that need to be added. She will choose those values for you, and will choose those rituals for you, for your children. It's her job. It's not the black man's job, because when we gave it to the black man, look what we had: hip hop and crazy songs by Kodak Black called "I Don't Want No Black Bitch," and all these colorist songs and all this stuff that y'all, all this hatred that y'all put into music, all of this dysfunction, all of this I'm not going to take care of the child and all this craziness, and no emphasis on marriage, no emphasis on building, nation building and economics. Hell no, you're not taking care, you're not about to be in charge of the culture anymore. No, hell no. It's black woman's job. But guess what, black woman? You cannot be emphasizing ratchet culture either, because that WAP song, that was made by 2 black women, and that was what y'all put forth in 2020 as culture during the time of pandemics and earthquakes and divine judgment. That was foolishness. So the black woman has to rise her consciousness as well before she can even think of helping her progeny. So that's why I wrote that book, so that she could see her own beauty and see her own power. Because when she sees her power, she can operate from the healed feminine, from the true dark feminine energy, and start the creative process and start the active process of creation, creating more communities, creating more sciences, more math. It's all types of things she's capable of doing. But she has to believe in herself, and she has to understand that no black man is going to go lead her. They're going to be leading together. It's just it doesn't mean she leads by herself. I'm not saying that only she's going to lead, but that's not how the law of gender said, and that's not what Toph said, that's not what Ogun said, that's not what none of our Orisha said. Nobody said, oh, the black man is only going to lead and the black woman's going to sit idle, rest in her femininity, all this crazy bullshit, and divest. But you can do that. But you got to understand the power of a woman, whether you divest it or not, whether you decide to date out or date black men or whatever. You have to understand your power as a feminine being, as a woman. And it is not resting. Doesn't rest. You are always in movement and creation. Go watch that video of the law of gender. Then you're going to understand how really powerful the feminine energy is and how it was manipulated on purpose. You don't rest. You are completely in control of creation. Not only that, you are completely in control of destruction. So everything happens on your watch, whether you want to believe that or not. So a lot of this stuff that black men are doing, it went down on your watch because you should have checked them. It wasn't nothing to check these men. We got to work together as women to do it. And they will gladly get their act together. They will gladly do it. That's the thing that the black woman don't understand. Everything, the black man blames the black woman blames the black man. Everybody blaming each other for the breakdown of this community when it's both of you niggas' fault. I swear to God it is. It's both of y'all fault. Both of y'all is out here doing stupid shit and out of y'all mind. I swear, like, from the universe point of view, I'm talking about from the point of view of a prophet and from our ancestors' point of view. This is both of y'all fault. And they not taking one side over the other. They want the black woman empowered. And they want the black woman knowing herself, having knowledge of self, so that she can really turn this ship around. And the black man doing her bidding, like men's supposed to do. And helping her create even more energy and generate more energy for the best of the community. The ancestors know what y'all supposed to be doing, and y'all not doing it. Neither one of y'all. Y'all blaming each other, talking about y'all gonna go to Brazil and get a woman, and she gonna go to get a Chad or a Brad, and y'all could do that. Your problem's still gonna exist because you're not healed. No one is judging. Here's the thing: I don't be judging black women when she say she got a date out, because y'all be shitting on the sisters, especially the dark skinned ones. So what they gonna do? I don't judge no sister that do what she want to do with her womb. She can do it. She has the power. So, black woman, I'm not judging nothing you doing. But what I'm saying is, y'all got to get y'all shit together. Y'all hate yourself. Y'all don't like each other. Y'all always stabbing each other in the back. Don't want to. Y'all too male identified. Whether you in this community or not, y'all are too male identified. And it has nothing to, I don't hate men. As you hear my videos, why would I make all these fucking videos always trying to help black people heal, whether they male or female? Why would I make a video called the Black Man Series, teaching them knowledge of self, if I hated men? I don't hate men, but I don't worship them, and I'm not identified with them. I'm a woman. For one, I have Eve gene and mitochondrial DNA. So the black woman is God. So I always stem from the point of view of the goddess perspective. I don't understand how y'all can't see that as women, that you are the creator. So why are you going worshiping that comes out of your ass? Worshiping a son. Why are you worshiping him? All you have to do is give him the tools and knowledge and love and skills. Teach him all that you have and your wisdom, so that they can continue to do your bidding and be able to be a whole human being on planet Earth. You ain't got to do all this male-identified bullshit, taking 10 yards of crap to show that you love them. That's not love. Love is showing them how to survive, using off of the earth, showing them how to grow their own food, how to hunt, getting them a bow and arrow, teach them how to defend themselves, teaching them math and science, pretty much the simple shit that they're going to need, and telling them that they should be able to build, teaching them the basics of architecture and making a A-frame shelter, and just start simple stuff. And guess a woman can teach all this stuff. Black family should be teaching their kids this shit. That's what you have to do. Not all of this having 10 babies by 10 different men and letting them get you pregnant without marrying you, and letting them cheat on you, letting them not get a house for you, putting all this stuff in your name and paying for everything. Black woman, going 50-50 on bills. That's not what you do. That's not gonna get it, black woman. You being a true feminine being is active, but it's not doing all that kind of stuff. Your whole job is to teach your progeny to be better than the first generation, is to be better than our generation by giving them the skills to survive. That's how you honor your children. That's how you honor the black man. Not by letting him just get away with anything and let him do all this crazy shit in your communities. Letting him get away with that stupid hip-hop music and about selling drugs and all this stuff and killing and all this stuff. That's not it. They need to be punished for that and checked for that. And only the black woman can do it, whether she realizes that or not. And she needs to understand that she got to come together with her other sisters to be able to do that. Because it takes an effort together as women to figure out what we're going to do with our culture, what we're going to do with our civilization. What will we hold back from these men if they don't get it, they act together? Will we just leave? Will we just... Because the divest won't get it. Because guess what? Most black women are not going to leave black men. That's what y'all have to understand. Some of you are. That's your business. No one's judging that. But what y'all have to know is the majority of black women is not going to leave black men. For one, they don't like the look of other groups of people. They don't like the treatment of other groups of people historically. It's just... Women... It's going to be a hard sell to get the black woman to do that. But you can sell to the black woman that she need to hold off on some shit, that she need to band up and check these men. Now that I think of black woman, those who don't divest, I think that the black woman can handle that, coming together and establishing a culture, getting rid of all of this nonsense, demanding marriage, demanding, and really get, because so many of sisters are fed up anyways. So getting them riled up to check, to take control of this community. I'm not sure, I don't really know, but it's going to be either one or the other. Either y'all just going to completely as a people disintegrate, that go for black men and black women. Either y'all just going to say fuck it and just disintegrate, or y'all going to figure out a way to work together. I think that you will find that other groups of people don't really fuck with us like that. I think that that's very obvious, but I think that as y'all try to do this divest on both sides, black men and black women, I think that y'all gonna see that it's just more than what you bargained for, and I think that eventually y'all gonna be forced to have to work together. I really do. I could see that coming, but that don't mean you need to be forced to deal with dysfunction and forced to deal with. And I do think that the black woman will have a greater chance of success at this divesting stuff that she talks about than the black man. I just do, because it's patriarchy. And men historically make room for women in patriarchy systems, especially successful ones. So the black woman has a better argument than the black man, but I also still think that she is not sold on that either. I'm just saying, the black women I would talk to, I don't think that we're all sold oh, that's the move either. But still having no judgment for those who do make that move. Like when I say I don't have any I think you should be listening to my videos still. I don't care who you dating. I think you should be listening. I think you should be implementing what I'm saying for your children. Still think the Knock the Queen Mothership book applies to you. Everything that I teach, it still applies to you whether you're dating a black man or not. It still applies to you because the information is for your children. And there is no judgment either way. But what I will say is, I think that the majority of black women are not going to, they ain't going to listen to none of that because they hard-headed and they don't know how to systematically work together in a structured way. And that needs to be taught first before they can make any moves. They need to understand the power of working together and structurally coming up with rituals and values for this community and sticking to that and disseminating it throughout the community. That's a lot more work than just saying fucking I'm out. But I think that she will be up for that challenge more than just the other stuff. That's just me though. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit that. If I get an egg on my face moment and I realize that everything that I'm doing is in vain and no one is listening, everybody like, we just gonna be niggas, we gonna just desecrate our ancestors, hate ourselves to oblivion, we still want to do self-destructive stuff, we still don't want to build, we ain't gonna build anything and just go out and let white supremacy just literally take us out. I mean, if that's what y'all want to do, I'm talking to all black people at this point, if that's the hill y'all want to die on, I will gladly go into some monastery, build my little monk cave and go and be the shaman that I am. I'll go in the woods somewhere and let y'all have at it. I swear to God I would, because I don't have to, if y'all don't listen and if y'all not taking it serious and if I feel like what I'm saying just is not, no one's paying attention, then I gotta just take that L. I gotta realize that my people is just that broken and that there's nothing I could do. I really don't want to believe that. I definitely don't want to believe that about the black woman. But if that's what is revealed to me, you know, in the years to come, not even a year or two, I'm not gonna be putting up for 50 years, 40 years like Claude Anderson and all that shit. That's crazy. And John Henry, 60 years saying the same shit, no one listening. Oh no, not with the dark goddess. You get 1 year, 2 years at most, and I'm out. And I'll do the best I can to help my people wake themselves up. I'm not, gonna tell y'all to do nothing stupid, get yourself killed. But what I will say, from my point of view, is it starts with the knowledge itself. It starts in the shift of collective consciousness and culture, and it starts with knowing the truth of what happened and knowing the truth of who you are, and then empowering yourself with the skills and knowledge to know where to turn to next. And that's how you continue your building and continue knowing the value of working together. It comes from knowing true knowledge yourself. So that's pretty much my rhetoric and practicing the African pedagogy and understanding your spiritual systems and everything that God has for you. So that's where I come from. But if that's not something y'all want to hear, and y'all want to still continue singing your Kodak Black songs and your WAP songs and what else, degenerate shit that y'all doing, not sticking up for your kids, letting pet bulls out so they can attack your kid, and the black man jumps in the car while the dog is going after the little girl and he's scared. If y'all want to keep doing shit like that and throwing girls in dumpsters and throwing and hitting girls in the head with skaters and all this stuff, keep doing what you're doing, because divine judgment is here, and I know that y'all asses will not make it with the stuff that y'all doing. I know for a fact it's not gonna go down the way you think it is. Y'all gotta get y'all shit together during this divine judgment and this death spell with this virus and all this crazy stuff going on, these fires and earthquakes and locusts and plagues, literal freaking plagues of the Bible and out of various religions coming on planet Earth right now. And y'all keep playing around with God and playing around thinking y'all it's cute to hate yourself, thinking that it's fun to degrade the black woman. It's fun. That's what the black man's saying on TikTok. Keep fucking around. I swear, keep it up. And watch this dark goddess, this feminine energy that's around this planet right now, Mother Earth. Watch what happens. It's not gonna go down the way you think. So take everything I said with the heed Heed this warning. Heed this prophecy. Because you have a beautiful opportunity to turn this all around in 2020, even though you can't see it yet because you're so brainwashed. You see white people scared, you get scared. You see them not know what to do, you act like you don't know what to do. So you copy off everything they do anyways. Hopefully your ass get on brainwashed and see the portal that's open. You can see the big ass portal right now. Raise your vibration and see that damn shit and see what the gods want you to do. Keep playing. But for those who get it together, you will get your boon. You will get your reward on earth and in heaven. You will raise your consciousness. You will heal. You will heal your bloodlines and reverse generational curses. If you follow what I'm saying. I'm doing the work with you. Okay? But I'm not going to be here if y'all don't listen. I don't roll that way. I'm very shadow-sighted and I come from the dark goddess as a queen mother. I don't come from y'all get to do anything. I'm some long-suffering bullshit. No, hell no. You do it for the first time. You do it right. Or I'm out. So I'm going to talk to y'all later. Bye.